Sunday, February 24th, 2013. In the hills of western Mexico, after years of treating victims of cartel violence, a quiet small-town doctor made a decision that would turn his clinic into a command post. He built an army of farmers, ex-military, and ranchers who would rise to challenge one of Mexico's deadliest cartels in broad daylight. But what began as self-defense would soon turn into a full-blown war that would erupt across Mexico. This is the incredible true story of Dr. Mireles and his army, known as the Autodefensas. In 2013, Mexico was drowning in violence. President Felipe Calderon's 2006 drug offensive had splintered cartels into new predators. In Michoacán, one of those predators wore a cross, Los Caballeros Templarios, the Knights Templar, a pseudo cartel that preaches a perverse gospel while extorting farmers, burning orchards, and kidnapping children who resisted. Their leader, Servando Gomez, broadcast sermons and punishments in equal measure. Police were paid, mayors were intimidated, whole towns paid a tax to live. It was more of a cult than a traditional narco-terror group. And nowhere did that cult dig deeper than in the backyard of a humble doctor in Tepalcatepec, Dr. José Manuel Mireles, a physician who'd spent decades tending the same men he'd known since childhood. Farmers, mechanics, families who paid him in corn or firewood when cash was short. He was respected, even loved. When shootings broke out on the highway, he patched up whoever made it to his door. Cops, sicarios, civilians, it didn't matter. But over the years, the wounds kept changing. They weren't accidents anymore. They were warnings. Shot hands, broken jaws, burn marks shaped like letters. Every story led back to the same: Los Caballeros Templarios, the Knights Templar cartel. One night, a farmer he'd treated for years staggered into his clinic, beaten nearly to death for refusing to pay the tax. Mireles cleaned the blood from his face and asked what the police had done. The farmer just stared, because there were no police left to ask. In that moment, Mireles was changed. If no one was coming to cure the problem, maybe Mireles would have to become the cure.
The Knights Templar. Their stronghold, Michoacán, has become the latest battleground of the Mexican war against the cartels.
Mireles spent his nights formulating a violent plan. He knew the enemy's patterns: pickup convoys on dirt roads at dawn, the way supply lines funneled through certain junctions, which ranches the Templars used as safe houses. He knew where the local police radios were stored, which local officials took payments, and which families could be trusted with food and shelter. And Mireles had laid out this plan to the men he trusted. Phase 1 was to signal and mobilize, use church bells and prearranged whistles to draw people to the plaza. Phase 2 was to secure exits and choke points. Tractors, old cars, and felled mesquite would block the two main approaches, buying time and funneling any convoy into a dedicated kill zone. Phase 3 involved weapons and triage. Farmers brought shotguns and bolt actions. Others were assigned to ammunition resupply. A makeshift medical bay was set up at a church so the wounded wouldn't die waiting. Mireles would run it himself between firefights. Phase 4 was comms and eyes. Teenagers and radio-savvy mechanics were given handheld scanners and phone relays to track truck movements and signal ambushes. Phase 5 was command and delegation. Mireles appointed lieutenants from trusted ranchers and a defensive grid, with a man in each sector. And lastly, Phase 6 was to withdraw and deny. Teams would disarm on signal to secondary positions. If the cartel counterattacked, the plan was to deny them shelter, burn seized vehicles, recover weapons, and melt back into the countryside like nothing ever happened. And in his own words, Mireles stated, "The law is theirs, the fear is theirs, the land is ours. We will act as one, or we will fail as many." He famously checked his pistol and chambered the first round. But before we get into one of the craziest firefights, a quick word from the sponsor of today's video, Aura. Alright, once again, we're going to search my best friend's name in Google. He loves the clout. Let's publicly talk about his personal life. Look at the results. He just bought a house, Hillcrest, San Diego. We've got his criminal record. He's got a restraining order from a drone kiosk at a Westfield mall. If you've ever wondered how scammers get your phone number or why your inbox is flooded with spam, this is why. There are these sad excuses of companies called data brokers that sell your data. They do it without your consent, and they make billions selling it to marketers, scammers, and even stalkers. And while they're legally required to remove your info if you ask, they make it almost impossible to do. That is why I recommend today's sponsor, Aura, to all of my friends and family, and to you. They take care of the hard part by automatically removing your information from data broker lists, and most importantly, keeping it off. Aura works around the clock to keep your personal information and data safe. And by automatically opting out of data broker lists, Aura has significantly reduced the number of spam calls that I receive. In fact, the number of female calls that I receive has increased by 600%. But that's not even all they do. Aura provides comprehensive protection in one convenient place. That includes antivirus software, a VPN for secure browsing, secure password management, identity theft insurance, credit monitoring, and I've even noticed an increase in gains in the gym. And I don't go to a gym, I am the gym. You don't need to subscribe monthly to multiple apps. Aura consolidates everything you need into one convenient place, saving you time, money, and storage. If you want to shove it up a data broker's database and protect your information, well, Aura is offering you a 2-week free trial, so you're in luck. Simply go to aura.com/popomedic or check the link in the description and protect you and your family's information today. Mireles and his army called themselves the Autodefensas, these self-defense forces, and on February 24th, it would all go down on the streets of Tepalcatepec. As that afternoon, the Templars' cartel convoy came in blind and came in hot, assuming they were on another routine drive into another village of cowards. But from the hills above Tepalcatepec, scouts spotted the dust plume first. The call went out over the handheld radios. Convoy incoming, North Road. Within minutes, the Autodefensas mobilized, and the town was locked down. Farmers crouched behind stone walls. Mechanics with shotguns covered the alleys, and old ranchers rested their rifles on fence posts. The church bell rang twice, the signal Mireles had chosen to mark the start of the defense. Then came the first shots. The cartel truck slowed, confused, bullets skipping off their hoods. One engine died in a plume of smoke, and the cartel returned fire with fury. Mireles was everywhere at once, moving from cover to cover, checking on wounded men, shouting coordinates to those in the hills. Inside the church hall, women got to work on the triage line. The cartel tried to flank from the east road. 2 men behind it held their ground, trading rounds until the sicarios peeled off and retreated behind their trucks. During a brief lull, a priest dragged sandbags to the church door while teenagers reloaded magazines. Somewhere in the distance, a radio crackled. They're pulling back. The fight dragged on for nearly 3 hours. Hundreds of rounds were exchanged, and as the smoke cleared, Mireles stood in the plaza, proclaiming victory. And word spread fast. Over the following days, other towns became inspired and saw the blueprint on how an operation of their own could scale, and Mireles moved from town to town like a chief, teaching the blueprint of Autodefensas. He filmed short and blunt videos, explaining if you hold here, they can't flank you here, and sent them out on social media and the radio. New towns adopted the plan and adapted it. Nueva Italia tightened allied defenses and turned rooftops into firing galleries. They learned to snare convoys between roadblocks. The fighting was ugly and unromantic. Back alley ambushes, scorched vehicles, wounded dragged into church halls. But at the end of the day, it was very effective, and the cartel began to suffer from attrition, making the region too costly to rule. And Mireles' presence was more than symbolic. For him, victory was measured in lives saved, but winning draws vultures. The Autodefensas' success made them a target. The federal government Embarrassed by the appearance of citizen armies, insisted on folding them into the state's control, Mireles smelled the trap and refused to hand over the weapons or the command structure. Then, in June of 2014, Mireles' small plane went down under suspicious circumstances. However, he survived. Mireles' survival only furthered his symbolism. Frustrated, in a matter of weeks, the federal government arrested him on weapons charges, along with various leaders of autodefensas. By 2017, Mireles was released and returned to medicine, tending wounds in the same valleys he directed his squads. In 2020, he passed away in a hospital bed. No martyr's blaze, just the soft flatline of an exhausted man. Mireles called it self-defense. The state called it insurrection. History calls it inevitable. One man's plan that became a movement, and for a while, the cure. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. There's a lot more mini docs in the works, and you don't want to miss them. And for those of you who don't know, I also have a second channel. If you guys are interested in history, Christianity, that sort of thing, definitely check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to hit that follow over on Instagram and X, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.